Hey there, everybody. I am Jennifer Timborski, CEO and Chief Strategist at Virtual Marketing Experts, and welcome to Conversations with Coaches. Today, we're talking to Kelli Risse all about stress. For those of you that are listening in the future, today is the end of March 2020. We are in the midst of COVID-19. So this topic is, I think, one of the most important topics right now, honestly. So I'm going to pop it over to you, Kelli, and let you introduce yourself and just give everybody kind of your story.
Great. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I first want to just thank you for having this conversation, because as you said right now, this is just a critical time for us to be talking about stress. And I love what you're doing with having conversations with coaches, because as a coach, I know that we all have different topics. And so what a cool thing to help just educate and help people make shift happen already. So that's awesome. So my name is Kelli Risse, and I'm the owner of Rise Up and Live Wellness. I am a health and a life coach. I am a master coach certified in NLP, which is Neuro Linguistic Programming. And I am also a master coach trained in the Transformational coaching method. So one of my big topics that I work with women on is to help decrease and manage stress. So I'm excited to dive into this today.
Awesome. So I think the first question is always, why is it important to manage stress? I mean, so many of us live with stress and don't even realize it. So why is it important to recognize and manage your stress?
Yeah, so stress is one of the biggest effects on our health, right? We often think it's other things that like this happened or this happened, but really what it leads back to is a stressful time in our life. You can almost pinpoint any major disease going back, if you look back on what a stressful time was happening in your life. And it's not immediate. It takes time. It takes time over course, because stress just has so many different ways of showing up in our body. So, we get headaches, there's racing heart, it affects your digestive system, weight gain, there's high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatigue, muscle tension and pain, our mood, right? So angry outbursts, feeling overwhelmed. Sometimes this leads to drug and alcohol abuse. Sometimes it leads to social withdrawal. Like there's so many different effects of stress that are all encompassing in our body. So there's actually 4 ways that people experience stress. And one is the biological and the chemical, which that is the processes of the body. Then there's the structural, which is in the bones and muscles. Then there's spiritual, which is in our sense of connection. And then there's mental and emotional, which is in our thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. And so, I invite you to really not you, listeners, to really just think about, how does stress show up in your body? Is it showing up in your bones, your muscles, aches and pains? Is it showing up in the processes such as the digestive system? Or is it something that's getting into your thoughts and your actions, your feelings, your beliefs, things like that? So really just to notice where it's showing up.
Do you have a tip on like how to notice one versus the other? Because you're right. I totally believe that stress is related to all of your body issues, but how do people really recognize whether they hurt themselves or whether they're having stress?
So, that's a good question. Okay. So kind of what I'm thinking about is, okay, let's just go back to like an ache or pain. Okay. So aches and pains, we can think about, well, I injured myself. Okay. However that is. We can also go back and go, well, I'm not putting good nutrition in my body. So some of my aches and pains are coming from that. But then I also go back to both of those. It's stress on the body. Let's say your injury was from exercise. Stress on the body, right? Did you use too much weight? Like, what were you doing that were you not paying attention because you were thinking of other things in your life that cause you to trip or fall, things like that. When we think about the eating component of it, what's the cause of not eating well? And a lot of times that is stress, financial stress on what food you can afford. Then there's the stress of just, I'm working so many hours that right now I don't even feel like I can make myself a healthy dinner. Like there's so many different components that typically all go back to the stress of something.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize, just when you said the stress on your body from lifting wrong, like there are different ways, there are different types of stress. You know, it's not all, I think a lot of people think stress is all this heavy emotional thing.
Right.
It may not necessarily be.
Right. And you think like, my husband, someone who's literally sitting all day at his job, unless he makes himself get up and, take a break and walk around or whatever, the stress of sitting all day is affecting his body, right? So although he doesn't feel like he is stressed at work, like he's getting his work done, everything's calm, blah, 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 that stress is coming onto his body. And it is showing up. I'm just going to call him out. It's showing.
I think it shows up in everybody. I know in this past week, I've said that one of the things that I have forgotten with this whole COVID thing happening is the boundaries I had set to make sure I don't have stress on my body, going for walks, getting up from my desk. I've sat at my desk more in the last week, I think, than I have in the last year, because I'm not getting up and moving.
Right.
And I think people do forget that even though you don't necessarily feel emotionally stressed, there's still stress going on.
And so, the emotional stress, I think that if I can take a minute to talk about the parasympathetic system. So it's often the emotional stress that we think of, that's that fight or flight, right? So we're either fighting or we're flighting. And when we're in either of those, that is causing stress. And that is where we are putting undue stress upon our body. Now, our body is really good at managing acute stress. It is meant to do that, right? So your blood pressure rises and then it goes back down quickly. What happens though is in our society today, we are so used to the go, 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 like we're just driven. And so in doing that, we are in fight or flight entirely too much. And so what happens then is we end up having chronic stress, right? And it might even be a low level chronic stress. Doesn't have to be high level. High level chronic stress is when, you have someone who is in your family that's ill, that you're constantly taking care of. When there's extreme financial situations or a fire, divorce, like things like that are very high chronic because the effects can last for a while. But we can also be in a low level chronic stress, meaning that we're just going through our day, but yet we're still stressed because we're not taking care of ourselves. And so what we want to make sure that we're doing is really tapping into our parasympathetic system. And the parasympathetic system is the rest and digest. And if we aren't intentional about doing that, we can often stay in the fight or flight. So, and we can get into this, but there's many different ways that we can tap into the parasympathetic system. It just has to be intentional so that we can rest and repair our body. Healing does not happen in stress. So when the doctor tells you, take some time off, or when you have a surgery and they tell you don't exercise for 6 weeks, there's a reason for that, because in order for your body to truly repair itself, you have to be in rest. And this is often where we become rebels. And we're like, oh yeah, he said 6 weeks, I can do it in 3, right? And then we don't always recover the same way that we would if we truly had followed that and rested, because tapping into the parasympathetic system is where we heal our body.
That is such a good point, and something I don't think most people even consider. So what are some tips that we can use on how we can manage our stress? What can we do in order to decrease our stress, not just during COVID-19 and everything, but in day-to-day life?
Right. So, okay. So here's some tips that I teach people. Here's some tips that I help my clients with. And the tips are awesome. It's the accountability and support to follow through with them, right? But here's the tips. So number one is to honor your yes and no. So when we look at our calendars, right, and when we look at what we are truly doing throughout the day, are you making your yes a heck yeah? Like, yes, I want to do this. Or is it, oh my God, I have to commit to that and I just did that. And why did I even say yes to this? And what am I doing? That's not your best yes. And that often, like, I would challenge you to go, am I people pleasing right now? Am I saying yes to be a people pleaser? Or is this truly something that I want to do? Okay, that is best for me, it is best for my family. So really honoring your yes and honoring your no, because the other thing that I teach my clients is that when you say no to something, it gives someone else an opportunity to say yes. But if you're always the yes person, then the people behind you that aren't quite those jump into things, they never get an opportunity. So when you look at it like that, you're like, when you say no to something, you're giving someone else an opportunity to say yes that may not have. The second one is to make sure that you are eating a balanced diet. So we know that sugar and alcohol cause inflammation. So that you want to make sure that you're really focusing 80% of the time on your lean protein, your vegetables, your nuts, your seeds, your complex carbohydrates, some fruits in there. And then you have your 20% of what I call fun foods, right? So that's happening 20% of the time, but most of the time you are eating a fresh, whole type diet. And that will truly help your body. And I can talk about in a minute, I can talk about how food and stress are totally related, because everybody's like, well, when I get stressed out, I start grabbing chocolate. And there's a reason for that. What happens is that when our day-to-day activities are what we call contracted, meaning working too late, running around, schedule, even exercise, like hard exercise. When we're doing that, that's stress. And so we're like, where's the chocolate? Which is blissful, right? Chocolate is blissful. Yeah. And so the more stressed we are, the more we're looking for that. It really, what chocolate and wine, let's go with chocolate and wine, they relax us. And that is why we crave them. We're not necessarily craving chocolate. We're craving relaxation. Okay. Also, tip, get curious about your thoughts and your actions. Are you telling yourself you're a hot, stressed out mess? Because if you are, you're going to be that way, right? What you tell yourself that you're being is exactly how you're acting. So if you're like, you know what? I am very calm. I can handle this situation. I can move through my day like I need to. Then your day is going to go so much calmer than if you're telling yourself, oh my gosh, I have so many things that I need to do, right? That just creates that anxiousness. Make a personal nourishment list. You know, I believe that everybody needs to have a list so that you have different choices of things for you to do. And maybe it's a massage once a month, and maybe it's reading a book, and maybe it's sitting out on your deck or sitting on the fireplace. Maybe it's having a deep conversation with a friend. Maybe it's being by yourself because you're around people all the time, so you need some downtime. Whatever, maybe it's getting out in nature, right? We always just feel more relaxed when we just take a walk outside in nature, but have a list available. Taking a bath is a great one. But having a list available to see, like, what is it that I want to choose from, and putting it on your calendar. Just like your workout should be on your calendar, just like your work and your meetings, your self-care is an appointment with yourself. Make it an appointment with yourself and then choose which one you want to do. Another thing that creates a lot of stress is clutter. Clear your clutter. For those of you right now during the COVID-19 that are working from home, you're probably really recognizing that, right? You're like, oh my God, my kitchen, like in order to, the clutter, right? You're just like, oh, so take time to clear clutter, clear your workspace, keep your kitchen counter and your kitchen table clear. Like that automatically brings your stress level down when your environment is, and I don't mean clean as in, that you have to have it dusted at all time. I'm talking about stuff, right? The clutter of that. So just try to control that, get rid of some things, whatever you need to do. And then the other thing is to breathe. So this is one of the easiest, simplest, fastest things that we can do. It takes 2 minutes. And I do what's called the 5-5-7 breath, where you inhale for 5 and you hold for 5 and then you exhale for 7. And as you do that, you truly tap into your parasympathetic system so quickly, and allow that exhale to be longer than your inhale, because that's what's going to get you to really calm down. And in a matter of, you can do it in 1 minute, 2 minutes. You can do it right now. You may not be doing a lot of driving, but driving from appointments, people that leave work stressed, and then you're going into home where now it's dinner time and kids. Do it on your way home. Don't close your eyes. Just do it on your way home. You can do this before bed. This can help people fall asleep like that when you just tap into your breathing. So, and then my last recommendation is always ask for help, right? Especially women. We think we are Wonder Woman superheroes, and we are. And we also need help. We are both. We are amazing and we need help. So know when to ask for help, and whether that be from your family, are you delegating enough? Whether that be from your close friends, to get support from them, whether that be from a coach, whatever you need, ask for help. Don't try to do everything by yourself.
I loved those tips, and I used some of them. I used, and some of them I didn't even think about using. I especially love the breathing one. You taught me that a while back, and I use that all the time, especially when I have kids. Right now, my kids are home from school.
Right.
So there's a lot of breathing going on in my house.
Exactly. I totally hear you. I mean, and I just love it because you can do it. You can do it on, like, if you're someone who's working right now and doing a ton of virtual meetings, even when you're in meetings and the stress level comes up, no one knows when you're just breathing. No one knows when you're trying to really slow down your breath to remain calm, and just to have, when we are calm, our perspective just widens. And when we're stressed out and we're anxious and we're overwhelmed, it's like we're pigeonholed into our thinking is like this, right? So just breathing allows us to just have more space in our life.
Yeah, I love that. So we are just about out of time. So I want to give our listeners an opportunity to connect with you. So tell us what best ways to connect with you, and how they might be able to reach out.
Okay, so I'll just list them all, right? So my Facebook is Rise Up and Live Wellness. So that's on Facebook. It's my business page, Rise Up and Live Wellness, the longest title ever. My Instagram is Kelli, KELLI_Risse. My website is www.riseupandlivewellness.com. And then my email is Kelli, KELLI, @riseupandlivewellness.com. And I offer a complimentary 45-minute discovery call, which is phenomenal, because what I can help you do in 45 minutes is figure out where you're stuck, how to get unstuck, and really have a plan of action to move forward. And it is a complimentary thing that women are truly like, wow, how did you figure that out? And well, because I have tools. But anyway, so I highly suggest, if you are stressed, take advantage of that call so that you can have a plan of action to move yourself forward.
I love that. And I encourage everybody to take a minute to do that. Just sign up for that opportunity. It's not gonna hurt. Like, it can only help.
That's right. Exactly. That's exactly.
Especially in times of stress. And right now we're in stress. 6 weeks from now, who knows what the world's going to look like? It may be back to everything's normal, but that doesn't mean that your stress went away.
That's right.
And so I encourage everybody to really look at that and to reach out to Kelli. I will have her contact information below in the show notes. Thank you all for joining us today, and I look forward to chatting with you again soon.